The other thing I'd like to say is I feel like the big book is like a love letter that they wrote to us, that they wrote to future alcoholics. They could have just taken this gift for themselves. I mean, they knew they had to give it away to stay sober, but I mean, they really they went all out, getting it across the country, getting the book written. It's really
Absolutely so
amazing. And they
much.
did it for us.
They did. And look at the lives we get to lead today.
Yes.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour featuring the collected voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Don, an alcoholic in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Hey, Don. Hey, everybody. I'm Sam, an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
Hiya, Sam. Sam, I read the daily quote in the app the other day, and this thing really hit me.
You can read them in the Grapevine app every day on your phone or tablet, or sign up to receive daily quotes in your inbox at aagrapevine.org.
The daily quote is free, and the podcasts are too. But don't be parsimonious.
What?
Penurious.
What?
Well, I don't want to say stingy, Sam. We're not moochers, are we? If you can afford it, subscribe in the app to the Grapevine.
What was the quote, Don?
Oh, yeah, the quote. It's from the book, Emotional Sobriety, The Next Frontier.
You're just now embarking on that, right?
To go where no man has gone before. Emotional sobriety.
But plenty of women and others have.
Yeah, just not me. Success and failure share a common denominator. Both are temporary.
Ooh. That's deep.
Success is temporary as well as failure?
You know what else is temporary? Sponsorship. Somebody's going to die. I might die. My sponsor might die. All sponsorship is temporary.
Well, life itself, it's fatal.
It is. Being born does cause death.
This is a dark topic.
I don't know why that's where I went with you, dude. I mean, but
Success and failure are fatal, is basically Success and failure share a common denominator. Both are temporary, but I'm in having success in my local AA life, Sam.
Oh, yeah?
I'm LCM for the district, which is local committee member.
Ooh, those are unique.
Kind of unique. It's the assistant to the DCM, which is like the chairperson for the district. We've been doing buzz sessions, which are workshops, and they've been so successful. We've done 2 of them so far.
You've shown me some of the artwork for the flyers you've been creating for them, which is just super cool in itself. But these topics, what did y'all discuss?
The first one was on effective sponsorship, and we had a panel of, we had 4 people, got different views of sponsorship, and then group discussion afterwards. It was fantastic. And then the second one was the God word. You can stay sober no matter what your conception of God. And we had 3 people with different points of view of what God is and all staying sober in AA. And we covered the full range of every kind of belief during the workshop and then afterwards with the questions. And it was really uplifting. But we've been getting from 35 to 45 people, which for our area is just great.
Yeah. I tell you, I loved those buzz sessions when I lived in Greensboro, and I'm so glad that y'all have got them started again. I wish I could come back and just sit in on that, especially that God word one. That just sounds like it was a fantastic one.
It was good. I really wish you could come back for the next one, too, because what we're going to do, we've got the area archivist going to be there, and he's going to talk about how AA got started in North Carolina, the history of AA in North Carolina. And then it's going to be Stump the Thumpers, a big book quiz. And I've been telling everyone that you need to participate and represent your home group to be there to get the wonderful warm glow that comes if you're the last person standing to have won a perfectly meaningless contest.
Oh my gosh, that sounds great.
It's going to be so much fun. But it's nice to be doing a job in AA at, a little bit lower on the triangle, and which is to say to be at doing a district job and have it be successful, and the membership is coming and supporting it. And it's great to be able to be there and do that work.
Well, I agree it is. And just remember that success is temporary.
That's right. But if it were to fail, it would be temporary.
That's true too.
So, who's our guest today, Sam?
Oh, Don, today we've got Miley from San Francisco. I can't not wait.
You're going to have to wait, Sam. You have to.
You can't make me.
Yeah, waiting is a part of life.
One of my favorite quotes from early sobriety. Waiting time is not wasted time. Something is being worked out in me, in someone else, in the universe.
Wow. We'll wait and see. It's not wasted. Waiting. Still waiting. And waiting. Not wasting.
Stop it.
I'm wasting away, Sam.
Our 12 Steps is a brand new collection of stories from AA members about working the program's 12 Steps of Recovery. Each chapter illuminates a different step through the experiences of a wide variety of AA members. This volume features all new, up-to-date stories from the pages of Grapevine, the International Journal of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is great for sponsees and step meetings, and it's only $13.99 at aagrapevine.org/books.
Great. I'm happy to be here. My name is Miley. I live in San Francisco. My sobriety date is July 13th, 1984. My home group is Friends of Marty. My sponsor is Ruth S., and she's been with me from the very beginning. Or I should say maybe I've been with her from the very beginning. Yeah.
Wow. That's a long-term sponsorship. I love that. And your home group is Friends of Marty.
Yeah, it's called Friends of Marty, as in Marty M.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so it's actually an online group. It's billed as for women who love women. It's online. I also have an in-person group that I go to as well. It's called Women's Kitchen Table in San Francisco.
Tell us a brief history of Marty, if you would, please.
Okay, well, with Marty M., she was, Bill Wilson was her sponsor. She first came in touch with AA when she was at Blythewood Sanitarium in Connecticut. She had an amazing life where she, came from a very wealthy family. They lost everything in the Depression. She moved to Europe. She really hung out with amazing people. I mean, Gertrude Stein, Alice B. Toklas, on and on. I mean, her life was quite glamorous, but her alcoholism landed her in an asylum for several years. And it just so happened that Dr. Harry Tebow was her psychiatrist, and he was sent the book before it was printed. I forget the word they use. The
manuscript.
Yeah, the manuscript, exactly, when they were sending out to get feedback from different people in the community. And so then Dr. Tebow shared it with Marty, and that's where Marty first learned about AA, and she actually threw it out the window. And Bill talks about that in a Grapevine article. Yeah, she did, because she didn't like the word God, so she threw it out the window, and anyway. And then of course, then Bill and Lois would visit her at Blythewood, and her very first meeting was at Bill and Lois's house. So anyway, the point is, she was very connected to early AA, and
it's one of the first 100 members.
Yes.
And she's responsible for starting a lot of meetings here on the West Coast, isn't she?
Now that I think might be Sybil. Sybil was on the West Coast. She was the first woman, west of Mississippi. And she also is incredibly entertaining. If you you can find her online, and she is very charming, Sybil, and very entertaining. Her and her brother were connected. Yeah. They were
Wow.
both.
Well, one thing I'm going to say just from this first 2 minutes of talking with you, you are informed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I just want to pick your brain.
I just love it. I absolutely love AA history. It's really kept me engaged in the program. I just get really excited about all of it.
Well, the meeting was Friends of Marty.
Yeah.
So is this a women's meeting? And
Yeah,
that's
it's
why
a
it's Friends of
women. Yep. It's a women's meeting, and it's just like a takeoff, of course, on Friends of
to
Bill.
Bill.
And so it's just sort of like a, seemingly clever
Oh,
way
that's
to say
great.
Friends of Marty. It is a women's meeting, and Marty M was also a lesbian, and so this happens to be a lesbian meeting. Or we also say like women who love women. We try to keep it wide open, so that any woman who feels comfortable, whoever identifies that way, is absolutely welcome.
Fantastic.
AA's been diverse from the beginning.
100%, absolutely. And Bill Wilson was well aware of, her and her long-term relationship. And her partner of 40 years actually was one of the founders of the Grapevine, Priscilla P. In fact, both Marty M. and Priscilla P., there were 6 founders, and they were 2 of them. And Priscilla had a lot of magazine experience. I don't know if you can include this, but
She's
she was
one of the ink stained wretches.
yeah, absolutely. And Priscilla P. was the art editor at Vogue magazine for 25 years. So she brought with it a lot of magazine experience to the Grapevine. And Priscilla is also the person who drew those little grapevines. If you ever see the very first year or two of the Grapevine,
Beautiful Grapevine logo. It's
yeah, and
very ornate.
Yes, and I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, they were all newcomers. I mean, maybe not in the first year, but I mean, Bill, all of them, they were so new and just out there trying to figure stuff out. So yeah,
We'll try and put the original Grapevine logo on the Instagram feed.
yeah, neat.
Well, what was going on with you in July 1984 that got you to come to an AA meeting?
Absolutely. Well, I had been trying on my own for 2 years to quit drinking. I had a strong desire to quit. I was not familiar with AA when I first started to try to get sober. I went to a counseling program that was part of the Department of Public Health, and they were very nice people. They were counselors, but they never discussed anything to do with 12-step programs. So it was just simply a counseling program for people that wanted to quit drinking. So again, they were very nice, but I drank every single day. So I'd go, they'd say, why don't you just try for a week? Just don't drink for a week and then come back next week and we'll talk about it. Well, there's no way on earth I could go a week. I mean, that was
Oh my God.
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that totally takes me back to when I was still struggling to
Yeah.
get some traction. I was
Yeah.
going to a psychiatrist
Yeah,
and then going to the liquor store when I left him.
absolutely. I couldn't even get home, let alone the whole week. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I was very young. When I first started to try to quit drinking, I was only 19 years old. So again, I tried, and eventually I was asked to leave that program since I was drinking every day. There was no signs of success. I was also, it's neither here nor there really, but I also had a big purple mohawk. It was like probably that tall. I was very thin. This is in the 80s. So
Right?
people more my age, I'm now 61 years old. People my age might remember that it was very popular. People would wear chaps to the bars. And so I was a waitress. I'd wear chaps every day, like on the public bus. I'd always, I just had a lot of costume happening.
I love it. You had a lot of personality in
I had
your.
a lot of personality, absolutely. And so they asked me to leave. And so then once I was asked to leave, I swear I was walking out the door of the agency and they said, you might want to try AA. Some people have found that to be helpful. When I look back on that, I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I wish but whatever. We hear it when we hear it. And so then I was like, oh, AA. Okay. I mean, I was tremendously motivated to quit. I had hit bottom. I was done. I just could not figure out how to not drink. So an ex-girlfriend of mine, I was telling her my troubles, and somehow she was aware of a conference called Western Roundup Living Sober, and it's in San Francisco. And she got a registration for me, and she gave it to me, and she said, "Go." And I went all by myself, and I never drank again.
That was your first meeting?
That is some
Absolutely.
huge willingness. Oh my gosh. Talk about jumping in with both feet.
Yeah, really to a conference.
There were like 4,000 people there. Yeah,
Wow.
I went all by myself. Again, my purple mohawk, my outfit, and I'd wear like these little, I don't know, wrap around, like they're sort of like popular, sort of the punk area where you'd wear like these straps on your arms that would have little spikes out. And I
Yeah.
even wore stirrup, no,
Spurs.
yeah, spurs.
Spurs.
I wore spurs. I've never been on a horse in my life, ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, but
I wore
anything
spurs.
spiky at that period of
Anything
time.
spiky.
Anything
So
spiky.
that was me. And so I walk in, and I always like to say, I don't really remember anyone rushing up to carry the message to me. Everyone was like,
Well, that's
wow.
because you were a little prickly.
Exactly. But I still felt the love. I felt so much love. I was blown away. It was like a dream come true. It was everything I ever wanted. I mean, for 2 years I'd been trying all by myself. And now all of a sudden I was surrounded by at that year it was like 4,000 people. It was at Bill Graham Auditorium. I just sat there. I mean, honestly, I could cry just thinking about it. It was so powerful it was all these people that were doing what I wanted to do. They knew how to do it. And so that's why AA has worked for me. One alcoholic talking to another alcoholic. That's what I needed. And I mean, I can't believe it that I never drank again.
Miley, I've got chills listening to this, and I mean, the sense of relief that had to come over you at
Yes.
this conference of 4,000 people,
Yeah.
and you're finally here's the answer. Here's
Right.
what I've been looking. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I met my sponsor there.
You
Yeah.
did? Because I was
Yeah.
going to say, how do you transfer that into a daily practice of AA?
Somehow, someone must have told me at some point during that weekend that there was a great meeting. It was called the Monday Night Waller Street Women's Meeting. And this conference, it's in its 48th year. It happens 4th of July weekend. I'll be there this July in San Francisco, again, Western Roundup Living Sober, and it's 48 years. It's the oldest LGBTQ conference in the world. And so anyway, somewhere along the line, someone must have said, hey, there's this great meeting. We'd love it. Please come, you know how we do. And somehow, I think I was so excited about this conference. I mean, it wasn't the internet. Right? I wasn't, no one
Pre-internet.
texted me, no one emailed me. There was no website. Someone must have given, I think probably what happened was that someone gave me like the weekly schedule and circled some meetings saying, we think you'd like these and these. I also went to one called High Noon that was still in existence here in San Francisco. And I just felt so welcome. You know, I think sometimes people maybe felt a little intimidated, but I mean, it was not necessary. I mean, but that's why my sponsor worked for me. I was 21. I believe she was like 50 years old at the time. Right now she's 88 years old. And
She wasn't thrown by the mohawk and
not
the
at all.
spikes.
Not at all. Whereas some of the younger people, I felt like, I mean, maybe they were a little like, wow, this is a lot. She was just like, and her wife too, they would save me a seat. Even though, I mean, we could not have been more different, right? Where people who maybe normally would not mix.
Right.
Save me a seat, and they'd always say, we really, and I mean, it really makes me cry. They'd be like, we really hope you'll come back next week. Or, you know, so this was right in the beginning before I even knew about sponsorship of this and that.
Wow.
And I really felt like it mattered to them. Like they really did want me to come back next week. You know, that's what I
Yeah.
tried to do today, you know?
For them, you were just another alcoholic.
They weren't intimidated nor were they overly impressed. They were like, oh, honey, just have a seat. You are in the right place. We're so
Yeah.
happy you're here. And the other thing that now that I'm a bit of an old timer myself, I'm really, really trying not to become a bleeding deacon. I try not to, you know, be annoyed by, you know, newcomer antics, because I remember I used to like walk back and forth to like the cookie, because we had cookies, we had coffee, then we had a little cigarette. I mean, I'd get up in the middle of the speaker and go get cookies, you know, and
Right.
I like walk around the long way because I wanted to see who was with who and what. I was ridiculous, you know, but people were just like, keep coming back, you know, keep coming
Yeah.
back.
So Miley, you got a mohawk, you got spikes and coming out of around your arms and spurs and trying to be off-putting. you might have been, from all of that, it would seem perhaps a little bit of a rebellious type of person. Was there anything AA asked you to do that you've just felt like, no, that's unreasonable?
Well, luckily, because I'd already had those 2 years of trying to do it my way, of trying to do it on my own, I was gifted with the gift of desperation, where I just felt like everything seemed fine. Even at the beginning, I was confused. I thought when people talked about the big book, I thought they meant the Holy Bible.
Uh,
And but somehow that's hilarious to me that somehow that seemed okay. Then I would learn things like, no, 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 that's not that. That we have our own text and it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. And it took me a little while to figure a lot of things out, And I'm still figuring things out. I always like to say, like, I don't know is my superpower. When like if
Oh,
someone asks
yes.
me things, it's like
Isn't
I
that a
just
great one?
know. Oh, it's so liberating to just be like, honestly, I don't know, but let me see if we can figure. Let's sit down together. Then let's look in the big book. It's like it's because when I get into a frame of mind where I think I have to know everything, that's not good for anyone.
There's a little bit of ego going on then, right?
Absolutely, and it's
Yeah.
also not. No one's here for that.
I've been struggling with trying to, as LCM, to participate in committee meetings and to not have a way, to not drive the meeting, and to
Mm,
just sit back and offer ideas and let other people run things. And that it is hard for me. I've been sober a long time, and it's
yeah,
still hard for me.
I think
right.
you just worked up a bead of sweat trying to say that.
But I mean, there's always more letting go to do, which started for me with the very first steps that I took.
Mhm.
And like going, okay, well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe my way's not the best way. And I had to
Yeah.
pray. I had to write a list of all my character defects and then share them with another alcoholic. And I resisted some of those things, though I was like you, Miley, in that I had tried everything I could possibly think of to try to quit drinking before I came to AA. So
Mhm.
all my sponsor had to say was, well, you could try drinking again, Don. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I was like, no, no, no.
And I was lucky also because my sponsor was very generous and very, very loving, and she was also so great, both her and her wife, who has since passed, Dee, they really got us going with the 12 steps and 12 traditions. So like it was a really popular meeting. They insisted they were the most influential people in the meeting because they, were the oldest timers and everything. And they just convinced us all that we had to spend at least 1 week of the month having a step meeting and another week having a tradition meeting. And a lot of us who are younger are like, but thank God now we have a whole generation, I mean, several generations of people that understand it, because
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
really said, no, we're not just here for cookies and coffee and having fun and hearing great speakers, which is also all wonderful.
Mhm.
But we're here, we need the basics in this meeting. And then the beginners meeting was really fun because you could raise your hand and ask questions.
And we need those basics because if I am well versed in the steps and the traditions and the concepts, even, then I'm helping ensure that AA is here for that person. That's a charge for all of us.
But I feel I just landed, I mean, in all my kind of flamboyant glory in San Francisco, California, Western Roundup Living Sober is an LGBTQ conference. So, I mean, there was nothing to fight against that. There was never that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't even tell the truth about myself. I was very lucky. Yeah.
That's one of so I'm gay, and my experience of AA was going to gay AA first.
Yeah. Right.
And that was really important for me because the gay thing was going to get in the way if I went into mainstream AA meetings, or at least I thought it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. So when I went to a gay meeting, an LGBTQ meeting, I don't have to worry about this part of me right now. I can fit in and like figure out what's going on with this alcoholism stuff.
Exactly. And now I feel like I could go to literally any AA meeting in the world. I will be
Yeah.
welcomed. I will be greeted. I will, just like I would do to anyone else that walks into any meeting I'm at.
Miley, what is a week in your life in recovery?
Okay. Well, on Sundays, when my home group is, Tuesday as my women's kitchen table meeting. Wednesday, I have
Wait a
a,
second. What's a women's
oh,
kitchen table? Is that a personal meeting or a?
no. It's just that's it. When it started a long time ago, it was around a kitchen table, I think, in a church. And so, but now it's huge. It's like a
Oh,
hundred
it's a
women.
meeting.
It's a giant table now.
It's a giant table. Yeah, there's no kitchen table in sight. Even it's like and then on Wednesday, I have a connected with one of my sponsees. And then on Thursday, I connect with another sponsee. And then, as I mentioned, my sponsor is 88 years old. She got sober in 1965, but I go and visit her for twice a week, at least once a week. We go and visit. And then, of course, I'm available by phone and things like that. Yeah. And so that's it. I also like things like the Women's International meeting. It's on a 24/7 meeting that's online. And that's really neat. And they have a lot of newcomers there. So, if people, and it's a regular AA meeting. And I love that it's 24/7. At any time you log on, there's going to be a meeting. And they're very dedicated, very great. And then I volunteer with Stepping Stones, which is the historic home of Bill and Lois. It's not AA. You know what I mean? It's a museum. So it's fantastic. And they have archives. They have the letters from Bill and Lois. Like right now, I'm doing a project about Florence R., who's the only woman who wrote a story in the first edition of the Big Book. Her story is called A Feminine Victory. So I work with Stepping Stones, and they have letters between Florence and Bill and Lois back and forth. And it's been fun gathering that together because I also think it's really exciting to learn about some of the other early ones and what they did and what they had to sacrifice. And when I think about my little service commitments, it's a laughable. I mean, Bill and Lois didn't even have a place to live for 2 years before they moved into Stepping Stones. I mean, Florence R., she went by herself to Washington, D.C. with $50 from the AA Foundation to start AA. Okay, good luck out there.
Wow.
I mean, can you
Oh
even
my gosh.
imagine?
We have it made.
Yeah, if I have to go 20 miles after dark, I'm like, oh my. I mean, that's like, and here she was going to Washington, D.C.
All right. So, Miley, thank you so much for joining us. It's been just, I mean, what a joy to sit here and chat with you.
Pleasure.
Like this.
Great. Well, you're very welcome. It's nice to meet you guys. I hope that we'll cross paths at a conference sometime or.
I think
I
I'm going
hope
to have
so.
to get myself up to the Western Conference, Western
It's really
Roundup.
fun. It's really wonderful. As an aside, if anyone wants to hear, I mean, I do these talks, online. I'm happy to come to anyone's AA group. I have a talk about Marty M. and I have a talk about Florence. So if someone were to say, I have an email that's, set up for that, I'm happy if someone wants to hear the talk. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So if anybody is at a convention or something and sees you, they'll know that they've heard you on the podcast because you're the one with the spiked hair.
Absolutely. Could I also mention briefly that I've had 2 articles in the Grapevine?
Yes.
I'm kind of happy about that. And one has a picture of the purple mohawk. And
Oh, yeah.
I wrote it down. One is from January 2015. It's called Take a Risk, and it's about being young in AA.
Okay.
And then the other one was January of 2018. And it's called Hidden Treasure. And it's about when I found a big book in just a used bookstore. I also really loved participating with the Grapevine calendar. So I like to send photographs to the calendar and also photographs to the magazine.
Fantastic. The Grapevine and Lavinia apps are now available for both iOS and Android phones.
To get yours, go to the App Store on your phone and search for AA Grapevine or Lavinia.
I'm at the very wit's end. Cuckoo.
Who are you talking to?
I'm on the phone with a friend in North Dakota.
Eunice, is it still snowing?
Oh, yeah. Since early this morning, the snow's been nearly waist high, and it's still falling. The temperature is 32 below zero, and the north wind is increasing to near glacial force. And get this, my husband's done nothing but look through the kitchen window and just stare.
Yeah?
Yeah. If it gets much worse, I may have to let the drunken bum in.
It's really not that funny. Thanks for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine Inc. We don't speak for AA as a whole. We share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. Podcast info, including how to call in, is at aagrapevine.org/podcast. Search AA Grapevine in the App Store on your phone or find AA Grapevine on Instagram and YouTube. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org. If you want to know more about AA, search online for Alcoholics Anonymous in your city or visit aa.org.
That was freaking amazing.